Hey, welcome to the Best Overall Show. I'm Noah. This is Cass. And say hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Man,
Yeah, he did.
you're such a nice guy, and I can just hear the salt. We'll get to that later.
Uh-oh.
Well, here we are. Another episode, another day. We're here post-data slate. We're all getting ready and making way for our new Orc and Tau overlords in the meta, so that's cool. And we've all got some things. And now I really want to say real quick, Cass, you got some. There's two levels of congratulations in order for you today.
Yes.
One is much cooler than the other one, but the other one is cool too. So you want to intro, or do you want me to? I can say.
You can do it.
Our wonderful human got engaged to another wonderful human. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
Cass and Chaz are the best. I pronounced it right this time.
You did.
And then also, your team won Battle for Salvation, and you've got a secured golden ticket.
Wow.
Oh!
Yeah, baby.
Let's go!
Woo.
So now the mission is, I need both of you gentlemen to get yourselves a golden ticket. Joe, I'm like looking for events in your neck of the woods. Actually, Shaz has been looking for events in your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah?
She's
All
like, I want Joe to go. So we're gonna do it.
I'm literally trying to go get one at Storm.
I know. I approve of this message.
Did I? Yeah. In a minute, I had an epiphany too about my display board, which I think you're gonna love. But we'll get there when we get there.
I love display board related epiphanies, to be honest.
With no. So other than that, guys, how you feeling, man? You feeling good about going into this new data slate world?
Honestly, yeah, and I kind of have to thank Jack Harpster for this one because like the day of the list deadline, and I've done one other team event with Jack, and he will flip flop back and forth between lists like right till the end. And I got a call being like, "Hey, so I know I said you could have agents, but could I have agents for one last trip to Flavor Town with the Custodes?" And I said yes because I love the man, and it forced me to like figure out, okay, well, what do I do if I take the agents out of my list? Which is funny because it future-proofed my list. Like I accidentally had already made the changes and played an entire 5-round tournament without the Calidus Assassin. So now I'm fine.
Did Calidus go up again?
She went up 10 points, as did the Inquisitorial Henchman that I was using as well. So I would have been 20 points over, but because of the changes I made, because of Jack wanting to play Draxus, I am good to go.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So feeling
you
good.
Looking forward to Storm?
I am more so just like, honestly, I love the people that go to this tournament. I love Bob Kelly and the entire crew over in Spokane. So I'm really excited to go play some 40K with my friends. The pressure is off for me, to be honest. Like, because leading up to it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go balls out for that golden ticket. But hey, I already got it, so I am there just to roll some dice and have fun. There is one event coming up that I think I can talk about now. So Art of War has been asked to participate in DreamHack. And for those that don't know, DreamHack is like an esports event that happens all over the world. There's one happening in Dallas, Texas, the first weekend in July, and I have been invited to go as part of the Art of War team. Team USA is sending a contingent, and I think there's a couple other teams as well. It's like dipping the big toe in the water of esports and seeing if Warhammer Teams has legs for that. So
Wow.
Pioneer,
really cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, so for that I'm hobbying up some stuff more aggressively than I am for Storm, but really looking forward to a fun weekend.
Joe, I'm going to have more questions about when I ask you what's up, so I'm going to go next, and then I'm going to ask you. I'm going to go to you because I think you're going to take longer than I am.
So Noah, what the hell is up with you, sir?
So back during COVID, I hobbied like 200 plus orcs, and it was my first time. I hadn't really painted pink before, so like I wanted to paint pink. So I just like painted 200 orcs with pink pants. That was like the thing. And I hadn't really done that many models at one time, so I also wanted to get good at batch painting. So I was like, all right,
Yeah, that'll do it.
this is how we're gonna do it. And then like they immediately got a new codex and became all trucks and stuff. And so like I just put my 200 orcs on the shelf because they didn't do anything, and I never really got to play them. And I've been getting bored. I know Cass and Joe both have seen me in different chats, always like trying to like tear my lists apart because I am bored. I love Knights; they're super fun to play, and I'll be playing them at a bunch of different events. But I'm currently on Green Tide, and I'm having a really good time. The problem is, I think I'm having a really good time because there's a moment when you're playing your opponent Green Tide where the lights go out. That's really fun for me, and I know that's bad, but I mean, against people who I like coax them into like, yeah, let's go, and we have fun killing models. But I feel like there's like an extra thing is I can be polite and still ruin their life if they're a jerkbag, and I think that's okay because then I can maintain my good being nice to people and just let them wallow in their pain when I play against someone who's a jerk. I feel like I have a mental illness, but so I'm playing Green Tide and I'm getting ready for Storm, and I have like a battle wagon and a truck to finish, which won't be that hard. And I'm going to try to up level everything. It's not quite to my normal like my night standard. It's more tabletop, but like I did all like the characters and stuff to a much higher standard, and I'm going to try to up level a bunch of the highlights and stuff on the 120 boys prior. But I have a really exciting idea for my display board.
Oh, when is that tournament?
That tournament is next later this month. But this is a really this is gonna be easy. This is gonna be super fun. So for me, the orcs in 40K are like the spiritual successor of like when I was in the United States Marines. When I think about United States Marines, like there's a joke goes around that like we eat crayons and stuff, and like like all high energy. Red crayons are the tastiest, that kind of thing. I get all the people who know me and know that like always make fun of like I've literally gotten like a sandwich with crayons in the middle before as like a joke, so my thing is I'm going to do a play on that, I think. And like my orcs are going to be the spiritual successor of the United States Marines. And they're going to be like charging a fortress that is made of crayons, and I'm going to use like a heat gun to have some of it start to melt down. And I'm going to have tan power armor Marines defending the fortress as the orcs storm the walls of this thing. And then that lets me then put like little bits of like crayon on my bases and then use the heat gun to melt it. So you have like the melty flow of colors on the base to make them just like extra color.
I love that there's like 3 levels of niche in that. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many levels of niche. It'll be really easy to do. I'm gonna go buy a ton of crayons at the dollar store, and then I'm just gonna like make some like framed walls, and then just like layer them with hot glued crayons, and then use the hair dryer to melt them down and make them look all bled out onto the thing, and then have a textured base, and then have everyone set up, and then they'll just be rushing the front of the gates, and I'll have a bunch of tan Marines, and I'll do some of the gun line shooting and stuff.
I love it. You're a madman.
Indeed. I have to have 2 shots, right? Best overall and best general. Those are the 2 I'm going for. I'm trying to get one of those things. All right, Joe.
We want to do our hobby progress real quick?
Yeah. What about you? Oh yeah, there's my mega nubs.
Wow.
There's that pink.
Warlord. It's Warlord pink. Warlord purple or whatever from Vallejo.
Oh, I am very familiar with that color.
Yeah. It's corn red. So it's corn red, and then like in all the dark parts and all the shadow, and then up to with like neo pink and stuff.
Neo pink?
Neo pink's a 2 thin coats color.
Oh, okay.
Just like a light pink.
Cool.
Yep. And then the skin's all just a bunch of greens. Hey, look at those guys.
So this is me and my good friend Eric Forsman, who is of Tundra Tactics and Team USA for WTC. This is who we paired into round two. We laughed and said, okay, well, I guess we're doing the finals this round. Although, shout out to BFS Chimera, who is another team that we played, who was our only other tie. So we ended up tying this round, but Eric and I had a very sweaty Grey Knights into Vanguard matchup. Ended with a 10-10 draw. Lots of swings up and down. Actually, you can catch that one if you are a Patreon member of War Games Live. We were on the Patreon table. I swear. It was great. I love being on Joe's tables. He does not give a flying fuck. So yeah, that was me and Eric, right? I can't remember if that was before or after our sweaty match, but we are looking pretty glowy, so it could have been after.
Who won that game?
It was a tie. It was a WTC tie. I think I won by like 2 points if it was singles, but it wasn't. So
Gotcha.
Nail biter of a game. And actually, that's what we tied and we finished before a few people, and then it looks like our teams just copied us and decided to just tie out the match, and that's how it ended. 80-80 draw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. This is Andrew Gagno's counts as Nightbringer for his.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was such a cool conversion, and of course, Gagno isn't even playing this army; he was playing his Tau. They had Brad Townsend playing this army that he definitely did not beat.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, I had to give my boy a little shout out for that one, Gagno. That was a beautiful conversion, well executed and gorgeously painted.
That's really neat. I like that conversion a lot because
Yeah, it was
Nightbringer
good.
is so tiny compared to the other.
And hideous. I know Liam
Right.
Bath, who we've had on the show before, absolutely detests that model and was very I honestly feel like for him, the upside of the points increase on the Nightbringer was cool, I hate that model anyway. I don't want to take him. So.
Right.
And then this is just me catching up with pro tabletop team member and awesome human being and wonderful Space Marine player, Thomas Bird, aka the Birdman. So Atlanta legend, and I always love when I see.
He appears to be extremely tall.
He is. He makes me
He's
feel
very tall.
like a gnome. Big guy, big heart, big personality, lovely human being. You can't miss him in a room too. So I ran up to him immediately. I was like, "We're taking a picture, bro." But yeah, it was.
You're like uppies.
Yeah, up. Let's go. And so this was one of my favorite moments of all
This is
time.
amazing.
So we finished our round with Tundra. It started round 3 against a team called Dumpster Fire, led by the lovely Sasha Alexander Edelkraut, who is an awesome human being, also a very, very fantastic Space Marine player. And I'm just kind of sitting there zoned out. I think I was looking at my phone, and I saw the number of notifications or something, but I'm in my own world. And I look up, and Joe is zooming the camera in on my face. And so I got sent this screenshot, and it is now my favorite reaction meme for me to use. To be honest, I got a rule wrong in my game with Eric, and he sent me the screenshot afterwards. It was all good. It didn't impact the game too much. But he sent it to me, and I immediately sent him back this, and I was like, when you get the rules for sniper rifles wrong, and I just sent that. It's fucking perfect. So thank you, Joe, from War Games Live for this beautiful, beautiful moment captured in time.
It's really beautiful.
Nicholas James appears to be the paparazzi who screenshotted this.
He was. He is. Media at the end of the day. So he did his job very well. So thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate you. And there's the money shot. So BFS was an amazing event. Very well run. It was really cool kind of getting to play in the original stomping grounds of Nick and some of the other Art of War folks. But ultimately we did come out on top, even though we drew 2 rounds. It came right down to the wire. I was playing my very last game, and I asked the ref, dude, how much do these points matter? And he basically said, get every point you can, because it is on a thread. And we just pulled it out. So kudos to every team we played. I do want to shout out a gentleman by the name of Sam Pope, who beat me bloody with his unending swarm Tyranids. And I think the mark of a true sportsman is for them to be able to savagely beat you and make you fall in love with them at the same time. Like, Sam, you're an absolute gem of an opponent. I would love to play you any day of the week, man. We had such a great time. But yeah, just and like every single opponent I had was top to bottom, front to back, awesome. Had such a great time, and I honestly had a blast whether we won the ticket or not. That was just kind of the icing on the cake.
Wow. Well, congrats, bro. Awesome.
Thank you very much. So this will be my 3rd year in competitive Warhammer, and this will be my 3rd time going to the finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a champion.
What did you win the first time to go?
I won 2nd best overall at Kansas City G-Dub Open, but 1st best overall was Andrew Gagnon, and he already had his ticket. So TE fault.
Nice. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the only time I've seen trickle down economics work. But
Thank you, Ronald Reagan.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I painted this thing for a commission.
Oh,
Which
cool.
was a nightmare.
Yeah, they're a little bit complicated.
Wow. Yeah, it took a long time. Yeah, thanks. This is my buddy Garrett. So he commissioned me to paint this. He's, for whatever reason, jumped from Custodes onto Knights for 10th edition. So
you left off the extra like shoulder reinforcement.
I didn't leave off anything. This is how he gave it to me. So
there's like one extra layer that goes one layer up from those shoulder pads that makes the shoulder pads rise slightly up to the crest. And they look really cool. Look like, yeah, like mine have it on it. So it goes one more layer up, and it just covers. See the vent piece on the top?
Yeah.
It just covers the vent piece and a little further, and it raises them up. And they fit anywhere on the pauldron, so you can make them forward, front to make it more aggressive, or back to make it look more like stature. But they look so good, and I was like,
"Oh, is it a little shield?"
No, it's like a little arc.
Oh, okay, all right. Because he did tell me he didn't give me the little shoulder shield either, so pretty good.
As a blue connoisseur, let me just say that blue is.
Thanks.
Crispy.
Oh, is that the Warlord? Is that the Warlord color?
No. This is electric blue.
No, the pink.
Is the pink. Yeah, part of it. Yep. Yep. I really like the hand of all things on this model. The hand was like, oh, this thing's amazing. I don't know. Is this where the fingers are? Were you able to articulate where they go, or is it in that? Was it in that position?
I think you can articulate them.
Okay.
I can't remember for sure, but mine's like the whole arm is on. I made sure all my stuff's articulated. It's been pretty good.
Okay. So yeah, it came out really cool. And so I have been dusting my sisters off, and
It looks great.
Thanks,
Joe. Yeah, the amount of really high quality painting you get done in the very small amounts of time between shows is it blows me away, man. You're a beast.
That's why I don't get to win anything, because I don't ever have time to play. So yeah, Junith here. I think she came out pretty good. She is a boss because she just straight up gives you an extra command point every turn. And yeah, she's also infantry for some reason. And can go on a rhino.
My Primaris bike chaplain. I converted her thing into like a aggressive hover pulpit for my bike chaplain. So he's just like an angry chaplain on like a church sled.
Oh, cool. Yeah, this model was fairly complicated for being how small.
It's got a lot of detail too. There's names of individual sainted sisters on every one of those steps.
Yep. And then I got some penitent engines done. This is the Warlord purple color, Noah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And after the few games I played, one game I ended, I had 12 miracle dice left, and they were all 1s and 2s. And I said, this is ridiculous. I need a way to recycle these, so I have an Imagifier in the list now. So
is your shadow Hex Lycan?
it is.
Good eye.
It is, my man.
Let's go.
That color is badass, by the way.
It's amazing. That's an amazing purple. So much coverage too, but not too thick. So good.
It's yeah, I mean it's like basically black. It's just like almost black, but it's purple still.
It like works really well too with the Warlord. Like they're like a perfect partnership.
Yes. So yeah. So this came out pretty good. Got little flames on these guys. These guys are amazing, by the way, because they're just solo units and they can advance and charge. They have two assault heavy flamers, and strength 10 on their buzzsaws, which are twin linked. So
are those the old school giant metal ones?
No, these are the new plastic ones. And even these ones are really kind of clunky to put together too. I somehow broke one of them like on his hip joint, so he's like he like falls back this way, but still on his leg axis. It's
weird.
Yeah. So they came out pretty good. Pretty happy with those. And then here was
it's so good.
This is the list I brought to an RTT last weekend.
How did your last game of that RTT go, Joe?
Not too good, actually.
All right. Spoiler alert, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Morven Vall is a beast, as always. Not as amazing as she was last edition, but
she's very good.
She is still like the MVP of every game. So, and I didn't even realize that the Paragons had fallback, shoot, and charge just built onto their data sheet.
Yeah, so. She and them is just a hero, dude. That squad is insanity.
So yeah, and then Penitent, Exorcist is getting cut. That did jack shit all tournament. That was a waste of 180 points.
Didn't earn its keep.
Might be my favorite 40k model though.
It's pretty cool.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I didn't even put the little like cherubs and stuff on there because I just feel like those would break off way too easy in my carrying case.
Yeah, you don't magnet, do you? Like
magnet those?
Like no, the carrying case. Like
my carrying case is magnet. Yeah, it is.
Then,
it's magnets.
Then why would they break off?
When you pull it out.
From just jostful, because like you're in the car, and so like even like the jump pack troops are like wobbling around sometimes and
that's fair, but
Junith,
you can pin them in place with other models.
Junith broke off of her like heavy flamers, so when I got home, she was just laying face down in the front of the case.
Yeah, that is the one real downside to a magnetized case is if one thing breaks, it's shrapnel now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I'm going to be using a foam case for the Orc Boys because I'm not magnetizing 150 boys. And the surface coverage is not efficient enough.
No judgment.
So we were going to talk about army jumping and its impact on hobby lag and best overall pursuit, and also like all the things that impacts whether it's hobby or competitive play. But we haven't had one of these ones in a while, so I figured we're actually going to have a time relevant situation where our dear Joe had a uncomfortable game with someone who I'm going to let Joe cover it, who was not acting in a sporting way. And I think it lays rise to us to talk about it's becoming like with 40K, potentially like guys are saying, getting closer to stepping into the arena of esports and getting more people playing 40K now than really have ever been, more events than have ever been going on, and more scrutiny. And also actually people being more vocal about like repercussions for things like cheating or whatever. I think it's time we have an asshole episode. So this is going to be an asshole episode. What to do with our experiences dealing with
Yeah.
a negative situation at the table, and we're going to talk with Joe about his negative situation and let him just pour salt. I think what we would call this is a Salt Lake episode. This is going to be
I
a
like
Salt
that.
Lake.
I like that.
Yeah, I do.
All right,
want
Joe.
well, before we
Tell
get
us
into
about your
that,
last game.
before we get into that though, I do want to say 2 hilarious things that happened in my second game against my Necrons opponent, who was awesome.
Okay. Let's go.
He had who's the pistol
right.
guy? Who's the pistol guy Necrons have?
Oh,
Hexmark guy. Destroyer. Is that what he is?
Hexmark Destroyer.
He had him in a corner.
Glockopus.
Yes, he had him in a corner, and I just had a rhino, an empty rhino. I was like, I'm like, this guy is a menace. He is just shooting the shit out of my retributors, and so I'm gonna move this rhino up to him. I'm gonna shoot him in the face with a hunter killer missile, and I'm just gonna tank shock him, and so I move up. He's like, all right, Overwatch for free. I'm like, fuck. Does like 3 wounds to the rhino. I'm like, okay, shoot you. Of course, the hunter killer missile missed, obviously, because why not? And
it has miss in its name.
It hits on 2s for sisters for some reason. I don't know why, but
it hits on 2s for everyone.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay. The guard player or guard guy I was talking to was saying it's hit on 4s.
Oh, okay, maybe not guard. It does for Marines as well.
Okay. So the hunter killer missile missed, and then he goes, okay, every time you shoot a Necron unit, he gets to shoot for free. I'm like, fuck. So that 3 more wounds go through on the rhino from it. And then I charge him, and he goes, okay, now I'm actually going to use my Overwatch stratagem, because he used the free one. So this rhino took like 9 wounds on my turn from 3 different instances of shooting. It was crazy. And then they just sat in the corner doing nothing for the rest of the game because he was physically, the rhino like blocked him into the corner, so like sideways, so he could not move. And then Morven Val's unit, sisters have the most incredible stratagem called Light of the Emperor. Are you familiar with this? You use it in either command phase, and it allows one unit to ignore all modifiers, which includes damage. So Nightbringer charges Morven Val, and I had already used this stratagem in his command phase. I said, I'm going to Overwatch because they get full rerolls. And let me tell you, they did 9 wounds to the Nightbringer in Overwatch. That was awesome.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So wow.
And then he did nothing, and then they murdered him. So that was satisfying because that stratagem lasts all turn. So anyway.
No, you're amazing.
I said, good job, Nundums.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I got to round 3.
So you're undefeated at this point. You're kicking butt, taking names.
Yeah,
your 2 opponents.
It's a 32-person RTT. Yeah,
that's a big ass RTT. That's a GT.
I know. So I got like 100 my first game and 98 my second game. So I was in first place going in. And my opponent was playing Synaptic Nexus Tyranids, which is the brain bugs detachment.
Yeah.
And they basically have the imperatives that they had last edition where they can like pick them. So right off the gate, and my opponent had total advantage on list and terrain, which I kind of got bamboozled on the terrain because 2 of these small ruins, he's like, okay, so we can see over these. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Like I didn't even think twice about it, and apparently those were obscuring ruins, and then he was just freely moving the monsters over them. But anyway, so that opened up like 2 huge firing lanes on each side of the board. Anyway, so this list is almost all like terrain effects. 2 of the new things. What's the new monster called? The Norn. 2 of those. 2 Maliceptors. And then a bunch, 2 or 3 Neurolictors, and who's the named guy? Who's the named Lictor? No.
Named Lictor?
Death Leaper.
That guy. He did have Old One Eye as well. And the like super zoanthrope guy that came in the starter set. I can't remember what he's called.
Yeah, the brain bug.
Yeah. Anyway, so this Tyrannifex Neurotyrant. Thank you, Noah. You were just coming.
I have played against bugs a lot.
So clutch.
I despise them, and they need to be purged. So.
Me too. I have anti hive mind 4+, just so you know.
Yeah. So, yep. That Tyrannifex was just running roughshod over my whole army because it has like an 18-inch flamer that does D6 plus 6 shots. So basically, anytime something moved, it was just picking up a unit every time he overwatched with it. It was pretty
Those
horrible.
things, they hit pretty hard.
So I really couldn't do much. And then, so draws his cards, and one of them, I don't remember, it involved him needing to advance or something. He's like, oh, I'm going to do my +1 advance imperative. I was like, oh, well, don't you kind of need to say that? You need to do that before you draw your cards, right? Because then you could change what you pick depending on what cards you draw. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. So I let him do that anyway.
Real quick, Joe. Draw your cards happens at the beginning of your command phase, right?
Yes, the imperatives happen at the start of the battle round.
Really?
Yes.
Yikes.
Because we looked it up.
Nice.
So it's like wogging. You have to say it like at when the turn starts.
Yeah, because I've had to get used to that. Like, okay, is now the time?
So I'd say whatever. And then he kills a bunch of my stuff. I got like both Maleceptors and one of the other bugs. They were all, over 10 wounds. I got 3 of them down to like 1 to 3 wounds each. They were all hanging on by a thread. So then he starts shooting, and he's like, does his shots, throws a bunch of 2s out, picks them up. I was like, oh, those missed. He's like, what? Why? I said, because you're bracketed. Oh, right. Okay. All right. So go through it, kills a bunch of other stuff, rolls the next guy, does the exact same thing, picks up a bunch of 2s. I'm like, why do Tyrannid bugs hit on 2s anyway? That's just ridiculous. But anyway, so he did the exact same thing. I'm like, bro, that guy's bracketed too. He missed. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. And then goes onto the third guy and did it again. I'm like, what is going on?
Yikes.
And then he started rolling his dice behind one of the ruins. I'm like, hey, man, you got to roll out here where I can see. Because you're just rolling dice, saying numbers, and picking stuff up. And I have no idea what you're rolling back there. So, just roll it out in the open where I'm rolling my dice too. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And then, I can't even remember what else happened. Basically, he was just in the lead the whole game. I was never ahead, right out the gate. He went first. It was corner deployments. He moved everything forward, got all 3 objectives. It was taking hold. Just starts murdering everything that comes out into the open. And then, there was something else big that happened. And I finally just said, it was something else dice related. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what you're doing here, but you need to tighten up. You're playing real loose and fast here, and I don't appreciate it. So you're clearly in the lead. You don't need to be cutting corners here. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just really frustrated, or I'm just really nervous right now. I'm like, okay, cool. So then, turn 4 rolls around. He's already at 100 points, and then I'm at 50. And then he just keeps killing all my stuff just to deny me more points. I'm like, wow, that is adding insult to injury. But I mean, that's not cheating or anything, but that just seems really kind of kicking you when you're down. So left a bad taste in my mouth. I was pretty upset about it, but you're
let's talk about that. So
okay,
there's 2 ways we can approach this, right? One is you could give this person, we can assume positive intent, or we can assume they're being malicious. Positive intent, this dude has something going on, whether it's he is incredibly anxious or whatever, that he's used to doing something one way and he keeps doing it the wrong way, right? So you sitting on twos, consistently doing it incorrectly, and then not operating in a way that gives you the ability to check his work, right? Because he's rolling ahead stuff. Assuming malicious intent, this dude is just playing as fast and loose as he can, taking every potential advantage with the hope of you just not catching him or enforcing it on him, right? And I think there's a couple things that go on in 40K. One is that there's a lot of people who play 40K, despite of how what do they call it? Male gaze the hobby is, like war man. Yeah, there's a lot of dudes who are very and not dudes. There are a lot of people who are very in 40K, and I think there are definitely cheaters, people who one of the ways they get through cheating is with the understanding that most people are not going to call them on it. I've been in metas where there was cheaters who would cheat against some people, but not cheat against me, right? And it was because I have called them on, right? So but then you hear their behavior resurface on another table. So, I mean, in your heart, do you feel like this was could it have been that he was just so anxious and nervous and used to doing such a one way that he was just messing it up? Or do you feel like there was intentional subversion?
Man, I don't know. It was literally just one thing after another. I've played enough tournament games to know, people make mistakes. I make mistakes. I mean, people get rules wrong. Yeah. If I say I was looking up rules all game, because this was my second or my third game with sisters, going into the tournament. So, I'm like, all right, Penitent Engines have, because they had strength 6 flamers last edition. And then I was like, you know what? Let me double check that. Oh, actually, they're only strength 5 now. So, yeah, but I mean, I remember the other thing that happened, because we had already discussed about the imperatives, and then he did it again on turn 3, drew his cards, and then said what imperative he was going to do. I'm like, dude, come on, man. You're muted again, Noah.
So on that time, so then this year's the thing about so letting people have go backs. I think, it's something I will let some people have go backs in certain conditions, right? Because, hey, it's obvious this was the decision they would make. This hasn't changed anything, just because we want to be chill and it's a game, there's a bunch of different reasons to get people go backs. But it sounded like this guy was specifically the imperatives multiple times. So on that time, did you hold him to it and say, no, you just don't get an imperative this turn? Because you don't have to select an imperative every turn, right?
Right. True.
It's an option.
I let him have it. I mean, he was so far, the game was in real bad shape already at that point. So I was just like, whatever, man, go ahead.
Do you feel like the way he was playing the game, though, contributed to him being so far ahead?
I don't know. Like I said, he was in the lead right from the get-go. He had to go first. Shortest deployment zone. All of his flamers are 18 inches. He's got a ton of them. So he just moved everything up, started flamering my whole army, and then I had one ruin to hide behind in my corner, so there was not a whole lot to do. Oh, and then at one point he rolls 5 dice, and then picks up the 2s again. And then, so he's got 3 hits, and then rolls a 5 and 2 1s for the wound roll. I'm like, bro, 2 of those missed, okay, because you rolled 2s. Oh yeah, you're right. So what does he do? He picks up the 2 1s that he just rolled. You just take back the ones that missed? Come on, man.
So,
just one thing after another.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I want to point out though is that behavior like that, right? Unsportsmanly or even just loose, sloppy behavior doesn't get excused just because they're going to win anyway, right? And I understand, in the moment, you made the decision you made, it's good. But I think there's something to be said about holding people accountable to win the right way and lose the right way, because we have a real 40K on occasion has an accountability problem on multiple levels, right? Whether it's accountability on how we communicate and how we handle some softer subjects, or it's accountability at the table, right? Very often you see people like something that's relevant for me playing Green Tide. I had a friend who went to LVO. He was playing a mass orc list, and he played into another mass orc list. And the other person playing that list was a good player who had won a bunch of things and was up in the game already, and did a charge. And instead of measuring his 3-inch distances, which the player I'm talking about had already measured and saw that he wasn't going to make it to certain points, so he wouldn't be wrapped, he just shoved them around the orcs. And then when my friend who had an issue called over to the judge was like, well, I can't do anything because I didn't know what the state they were in before. They're this way now. So it is what it is. The game state goes as is.
Wow.
All right. And that's like not uncommon for ruling at places, right? So the problem is that like accountability has to start with the two players having mutual accountability and holding each other accountable, say a million times, holding each other accountable at the table, because most judges don't approach games with a resolution mindset. They approach games with a specific ruling only mindset, which is like they can't rule on anything they didn't see, and they're not going to make any rulings that involve a judgment call. Really, they're going to resolve things as statically and as fairly as possible without kind of reading the room as over. I take a different approach, and that's me, right? But like most of the time, it's not about getting a good resolution. It's about whatever the simplest call is that matches the rules. And I think I love you, Joe, but I think you should have slapped him across the face. Not like physically actually slap him.
Yeah.
But I think we gotta hold these people like they're gonna win. Let's just make them win the right way. You know what I mean?
And like, I think there's I don't disagree with you, Noah, but like Joe, I understand the good guy urge to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think that's important because like
I think it goes away on like the third failed.
For sure. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think there does come a point where, you can make a mistake, but if that starts being the constant, I think I say, stop. I get a judge, and I tell them, you need to active judge this. Actually, that came up when I was at Cascade. I was assigned to a table as a judge to watch that game. And, it was a good, clean game of Warhammer once I got there. I don't know that was the case before, or like maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
I can say things.
I know, but I'm trying to not have you say things. But like at the end of the day, like I was assigned to that table, and both players had a good, fair game of Warhammer, and the feedback on that was positive. I think that does kind of push that accountability. There is another way you can handle it, which I actually met this gentleman for the first time, but this weekend. But I met Alex Fennell, who is an absolute legend of the game.
Legendary good guy, Alex.
Legendary good guy. And, he has been known in the past to be like, oh, okay, and just back up his models. Because that's a way you can deal with it, too. It sends a message, and...
Hold on, I don't know what I know who Alex Fennell is, but why is he a legendary good guy?
Because of that LVO game, like from 5 or 6 years ago, where he was playing. Was he playing Blood Angels or something? And that was when the Castellan Knight and the Imperial Guard and the Blood Angels captain was like the list to play. Remember that, Noah?
Yeah.
And then you have to bring your reinforcements down at the end of your movement phase, which technically is correct, but people deep strike stuff in all the time out of order. So he was like in the middle of his movement phase, brings one of his captains down, and then his opponent was like, "Oh, you're done moving." Like that happens at the end step of your phase. He's like, "Oh, okay." And then he lost, and then In a bit of a twist of fate, I believe the exact same thing happened in reverse to that player the next game. And he ended up losing.
He also is, I mean, this isn't why he's a legend, but it was hilarious. He beat Vic Vijay at not last LVO, but the LVO before, where he was like in contention for the ITC. He takes him out and then flies home the next day because life got in the way. So he just like ended Vic's run. Vic had no idea who he was too. He's like, oh, some Necron player just beat me, and so he just like came in to be like, no, Vic, and then flew home, which was just hilarious. I mean, like, that's not even good guy or bad guy behavior. Vic seems like a lovely dude. I don't know.
Vic is quite nice.
Yeah, he seems like a lovely dude, but I just think that's hilarious.
There was something with like a charity donation that happened with him too.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was what got all the attention to this.
Yeah, he basically
somebody admired how well he handled that situation, and then donated like some insane amount of money, like 10 grand or something.
Yeah, it was 10 grand.
Because he works for a hospital or something, and then a children's hospital, and then somebody else matched it. Yes,
Games Workshop matched it, and so it just like ended up in a bunch of money being raised. Yeah, the guy's a legend, but that's like he's walked away from tables when it's like, oh, he's in contention to win the event. Oh, this guy's being a douche canoe. Okay, well, you want it more than I do, kid. Have fun, and then he just peaced out.
At the end of the days, it is dollies, right? So that's another thing too, and I think I agree. I've done it before. Like I had a game where I was playing someone, and they were very obviously playing. They were not playing by intent. They weren't necessarily cheating. They were playing in a way that was like advantageous specifically for them, disadvantageous for me, and created a double standard. And at one point, I was like, hey, man, I can tell this is really important to you, so I concede you got it. He goes, you're winning, though. And I'm like, no, man, this is much more important to you than it is me, and I can tell that it's having an effect on you, so you are welcome to have this game. And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, and I gave him a look. He goes, yeah, I guess that's true, that I'm pretty focused. I really want to win. And I'm like, well, you're behaving like it. And so if you would like to continue playing this way, you are welcome to have the game and I'll concede. And he's like, no, man, I'll stop it. Let's finish our game. And then I beat the shit out of him. and he was like, hey, that was good. Thanks, man. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think that kind of points out that like you can kind of fall into that oh, come on, Mike. You can fall into that habit, right? Of like, because this is a competitive game, and we do want to win, but like, let me tell you, okay, I'm on Art of War. Nick Nanavati, one of the goats of the game, you know what he says as his captain speech round 1? He says, guys, winning's great, but I want us to have fun, and sportsmanship is all I care about. Let's go and represent ourselves and our team well. Like, that was literally the hype up speech for round 1. Wow. It wasn't, we're Art of War, let's go kick teeth in. Like, that's not how people at the top level of competition in this hobby do things, in this community do things. And more often than not, what I've seen is the people who think that they're top level and are not. Where there's a disparity. Because actually that's why I initially started getting coaching from Art of War, was there was a disparity in what I thought I could do and what I was actually doing. But instead of like cheating about it, I got outside help, and hey, the rest is history. But like, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I think we all have that drive, that competitive drive in us if we're playing competitive 40K. And Noah, I do love your approach. And I mean, it's one of the things I love about you as a person. It's like you call people out in a very tactful, tasteful, but firm way. It does help that you are a giant and an ex-Marine. So like, there's like a certain, and that's why I kind of understand your approach, but I also understand it's not easy for everyone to kind of grab the bull by the horns, right? Like, and sometimes, you don't have it in you that day or whatever. I'm a pretty confrontational guy. I'll tell you if you're being a fucking asshole most of the time. But sometimes, like, I'm fucking wiped. I don't have it in me, especially if I just like fought a hard fought game right before I lost it. It was tight. It was a great game. And then I go into a situation like Joe was in where, hey, I'm having to watch every fucking move that person is making, every dice roll, every rule I have to double check. That's exhausting, man. So I can understand not doing it. So I think like the happy middle ground is if you're in that position, or if I find myself in that position, that's when I get the, you know what, I'm good. Like, you want this more than me? All good. I'm not going to do this. It's a less confrontational way than like, hey man, you're being.
I totally agree. I think though we turn it around one more time. I 100% agree with what you said. I think you're right. Like there's multiple ways to deal with it, and ultimately, like we're all people, and we got to deal with it the way that you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with conflict. Not everyone is, and that's not necessarily. So it's not. I was wrong to say, Joe, you should have done it differently, but more like what I meant to say is, Joe, I really wish you would have put that dude in his place because I would have slapped him if I was there. As really, and I think that we can turn it around one more time and put it like this. I'm going to say something that almost everyone's going to tell me I'm wrong, and maybe they'll point at me and say I'm a terrible human for saying this.
All right, this is going to be juicy.
If you tell me that you have never been at a deciding game in an event and rolled dice where your opponent couldn't see it, even on accident, you had to pick up those dice and was one off the thing that would make the game for you, and you didn't have that tiny little voice in the back of your head say, maybe I got one more. Maybe this is one more. Like, maybe it's like if you say you didn't ever do that once, you're a fucking liar.
You're full of shit. I agree.
But it's so here's the deal. And I say that because when you do that, you have to make the choice internally what you're okay with living. And I'd like to believe that everyone here on this call has not listened to that voice, picked up the dice, and done the right thing. There's probably lots of wonderful people we play with who have listened to that voice once or twice and felt bad about it, moved on, didn't say anything, or maybe even conceded the game, or maybe then put something else in someone else's favor and toss the game just so they could even out their conscience or whatever. There's plenty of people in our life who we probably love playing with who have done that. So I think the reason I'd say the switchback is like, I think we also need to have empathy. It's not okay to excuse cheating, and I don't excuse cheating. But punishing behavior and understanding the human, I think, are important. If someone cheats, they should have a game loss. They should get a 6-month ban from playing. They should have some consequences. They should figure their shit out. But this is just a person who's experiencing something. And a lot of the time, it's because these games provide the necessary or the desired, dopamine and feelings of satisfaction. But the next time you have that voice in your head, what I want you to repeat is, I'm the best in the world at playing plastic models with dice. I want you to say that out loud to yourself, right? I'm the best in the world at playing dollies with 6-sided dice. Because that's what it is. And when you turn it into that, like, it's kind of humbling, like, yeah, you're awesome at solving problems and whatever, but you're the best if you cheat all the way to the best and beat everybody, and at the end of the day, you've accomplished the mission, you're the best 40K player in the world, you are still just the guy who is best at playing dollies with 6-sided dice. Well, and that's far less important than being a person that you can go to sleep with at night.
And I think like there are ways to reduce the chance of that voice even. Like, honestly, I've played against both of you. You both know my pre-game dice spiel. But here it is, for those who have not played me. I'm going to roll every dice in this trait. If you can't see it, let me know. I'll move it. If it's not in this trait, unless it's an advance and I've explicitly said, hey, this is an exception, it doesn't count if it's not in the trait. If it stacks, I re-roll the top dice. If it's cocked, I re-roll it. I'm very consistent. I just say this to vocalize it. Literally, that's my... I
have a very similar that I got from you,
and it's literally there for a number of reasons. But there's always that voice. There was always that voice where if I didn't say that spiel and it bounced out and it was a 6, the urge to hold on to that 6 was huge. But I just shut that voice off right at the source. because I say the spiel. I'm very consistent, and that just removes that voice. Like he's still back there, the piece of shit, telling me to just
Oh,
be a
dude.
dumbass. You
It's
know,
all
but
good.
but it's muted, right? Like you can see the mouth moving. I don't hear you, bro. I'm just playing games with my friends. So there's ways to kind of mitigate that. And I think another thing I'll say, and I think this was, and I hope he's okay with me even bringing this up because he is a friend. But TJ Lanigan famously was caught on stream cheating. You know, and the amount of pressure that he had put on himself is what made him snap and do some shitty things. You know what I mean?
The worst thing you can do as a human, in my opinion, is believe your own hype. This is why, in my opinion, like people who are good at something, like TJ was, or people who are like famous, become assholes or do messed up stuff, is they start buying into their own hype, and they need to be in. They don't want to lose what they have, right? And I've talked to TJ about it too. TJ's great now, but TJ was very honest about what he went through.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we don't that we allow for folks to kind of have that growth.
Dice trades are clutch style.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. But I think it's important we have that, we allow for that growth, because like people are gonna do stupid, shitty things from time to time.
It's true, and I think end of the day, Joe, I think you actually handled it pretty well because sounds like you exited without having to kill him,
and that's really priority number one.
I'm no stranger to people aggravating me, so.
That is also. I think that's also another thing. Is given your specific details of your current stat line and the experiences you've gone through, I think you are probably exceptionally well suited to look at a situation like that and do the Cass proposed approach of, "Hey, man, you're already winning. If you want it that bad, it's yours," because you understand how important or not important a lot of this is.
Flannel.
The flannel, though.
This is my favorite flannel. Old red.
Someone who does auto detailing thinks you look great.
That's the cooler. Yes. I heard he does good auto detailing as well.
So yeah, man. I mean, I think this is a good conversation to have. I mean, I think we're at a point too where, let's be honest, we're going into a new meta. People are going to be learning some new rules. We have 2 new codexes coming out. There's going to be some Custodes players getting used to the new reality. There's going to be some orc people who never played orcs before, who are jumping over to orcs and learning their rules and probably misplaying them.
Are you going to scream wah, or are you just going to say it?
It's funny that you said that, because I actually had this like internal moral discussion. like I know we might write a couple minutes over, but I'll just say, like, this is okay. So I spend most of my life trying to make space for other people. Mike says the worst codex in years for Cassette. Sorry, Mike. You'll still get there, but I spend most of my life making space for other people, right? I'm a leader in different areas of my life. I have 3 children. I have a bunch of people in my life who are neurodivergent and have a variety of complications and things. And I'm a big, loud dude, and I run a game store, and game stores are supposed to be a safe place. So I spend a lot of my time actively trying to make sure that I'm not overriding other people's space, and I'm making sure that everyone has the space to be safe and comfortable and explore their comfort and pursue their bliss, or whatever you want to call it. And I have a guy on my team. I'm not going to out him, but I have a guy on my team who gets mildly annoyed when people yell "wah," because it's like actively, like sound cancer, right?
Sensory overload, yeah.
Right, especially when you're already in like a very busy room.
I'm not going to hate you, but I might glare at you a little bit.
But I'll be honest, yelling something in defiant exuberance is pretty on brand for me. So like, I would like to yell "wah," but I don't think I will. I think I'll probably, in the words of one of my bosses, I had like achieved this really hard thing at work, right? It was when I was hacking, where I was like being hired to hack stuff. And I'd hacked this really, really amazing company that had really great defenses. And I pulled off this really complicated hack. And I jumped up in my seat because we were like on site, but like in an office there. And I was like, yeah, yelled a little bit. And he goes, no, can you act like you've ever done this before?
Wow.
He's like, you that's like acting like you've never gotten a win. Sit down. And I'm like, yay. And so I kind of feel like it's kind of the thing, like if I'm, especially I think playing Green Tide, something I've noticed is that I have to actively work to make sure some of my opponents are having a good time.
Yeah.
I had my Eldar opponent shoot 1,530 points of Dark Eldar and barely kill a squad and a weird boy. 1,500 points. This was without a pain boy in the list.
Can I make a quick recommendation for the WA?
Yeah.
Record the girls screaming it and then play
it. Hero.
Send it.
Hero.
Because no one's getting mad at that. A. B. It's adorable dad behavior, and you're an adorable dad. So it's.
Dude, I need to take a picture of them. My wife's got a cricket. I need to take a picture of them. Put it on the girls' saying wall. Okay, but
I think that would be great. Sorry.
That's amazing. I'm going to do that. But what was I saying before you said that amazing thing?
20 orc boys and a weird boy, entire 1,500 points of shooting.
1,500 points of Dark Eldar. So he shot and charged his whole army. Like he charged some incubi into one squad, and he shot that squad with some other stuff. And before that, he had shot 1,500 points of his army at the other squad and killed the squad. He still left 4 orcs left, and those 4 orcs picked up the entire incubi squad other than the Archon. Right? And then on my next turn, I charged everything in his army with like 60 orcs and 6 Meganums. And he was on like 0, or he was on 5 primary. He was never going to score primary ever again. Right? Like at that point, I had to like coach him into still being engaged at all. And at one point he was like, I think it's over. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Sounds good. He also took like a 45-minute turn trying to figure out what to do. We were on the clock. So that was like a little rough. But like all my opponents other than Tommy, my second round as RTT, Tommy was like very chill about it. He was like laughing about how ridiculous it is. And he was having a really bad shooting.
Was he? Was that Dark Eldar playing Sky Splinter or Space Raid? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, but like everybody else, I kind of had to like coach into like being engaged because it's kind of demoralizing. There's definitely armies that can handle tide, like Blood Angels can do it, whatever. But there's a lot of armies that cannot. There's a lot of armies that not just are going to like have a hard game, but are just going to like feel like they do nothing. And especially into the pain boy blocks, because pain boys are a 5-up invul, rerolling ones to save with a 5-up Feel No Pain, which statistically means it takes like 120 gross attacks to convert to enough wounds to kill 20 guys at hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s.
And you can bring boys back with the stratagem and the pain boy.
Yeah, if you don't kill them, you can grot orderly and strat for an average of 6 to return.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's rough. So I think like that's a thing, like keeping. I think like if I were to while like actively like when my opponent has like killed 6 model, like I had Logan and an entire squad of Thunderwolves pick up 10 guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
like
you don't want to be screaming in the face of a guy who you just bounced his head off the concrete. Yeah.
Now, if I'm playing Cass, if I'm playing you, or I'm playing McDougal at Storm, or I'm playing whatever, then maybe
let's go, baby.
Let's go. I might do it. But I think a loud wah for me is probably reserved to my closest and dearest of friends. Also, my voice is usually gone by the end anyway, so I couldn't watch on round 5.
I'll bring the halls.
Okay, cool.
People who are WOG adverse should be prepared for 100% increase in those from Bully Boy players.
Yeah, I might have to start bringing earplugs.
Yeah, double, twice a turn. Yeah, man, I'm having a good time with orcs. I'm having fun painting pink, and I think they're going to work out well. And we're ready for Storm. So I think our next one is going to be 2 weeks from today. So I think
that's the Thursday before Storm.
Is that really?
Ooh.
That is.
All right.
So that'll be our lists are locked in and exposed. That's the same day as Meta Chasers. So like it'll be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I guess we'll probably do comp that one. But I think the one after that we're going to try to do another hobby breakdown and each pick another thing and do a hobby breakdown.
Sounds good. I will be painting I'm actually not focusing on getting my army finished for Storm. I could, but I no longer have the drive to win best overall. So
why?
Oh,
for the ticket, because candidly, Noah, you and Liam are both going to be there. You're both going to be contenders for it.
We're both playing S tier armies.
You're both playing S tier armies, and not to say I don't think I can compete. I just hey, I'll take it if I can get it. But at the same time, I will be painting up stuff for DreamHack. One of those things is a certain large demon model for a certain friend of mine.
Whoa.
I'm painting a model for, and it'll be on DreamHack. So I'm motivated to make things look real pretty.
A certain large demon?
Does he have red skin and nipple horns?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is this?
I'm being mysterious. But he has 2 heads.
Oh, I know where this is going. The OG commandery roll. That's awesome.
I can't believe. So, can you put that quote from Kyle up? It says, "I got so much Voton to paint before." Dude, I thought you play Eldar, and then the other day you were playing Dark Angels. What is wrong with you? Do you need help? Like, is this for? Please tell me the Voton for someone else. Kyle's is having like a midlife crisis right now. He's like, what do I play?
ADD is the thing. A lot of us do it.
That's true. I'm just lucky I had the 200 orcs painted.
Yeah, you're ready.
I only had to do what? Yeah, I have 200.
Oh, I thought you said it was 120.
No, I only have 120 in the list, but I have.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because you used to be able to take them in squads of 30.
Yes.
And I have 6 squads of 30.
Okay. That was a thing.
The fact that they don't easily pass as Beast Snagga boys makes me mad because there is a list that you can fit into 2000 that runs 120 boys and 80 Beast Snaggas and some characters and literally puts 200 orcs on the table.
Wow.
Which I think is like physically impossible to place. You have to put a bunch in reserve. And then also, I think it's like physically impossible for any army to kill that person.
Yeah, jeez. Please tell me you have 1 unit of Grats in your list.
I have 2 units of Grats. I'll say the list real quick. I have a War Boss. Right now, I have a War Boss and a Mega Boss. And I have some points that are floating between like another War Boss and Stickrot or 2 Pain Boys. Okay. And then a Weird. And then I have the upgrades for the big strength bonus, the reroll advancing charges, and the counts their unit as 10. And then 3x20 Choppa, Claw, Slugga. Let's go. And then a battle wagon, a truck.
So are we keeping that battle wagon open tapped? Or are we putting the hard?
No, it's a hard case.
Yeah. All right.
I had 2, but because strength 12 of 16 and toughness 12 of 16 was so tanky, and it's really important into the Blood Angels matchup to like be able to have a something with a soft nougaty inside. And then 2 squads of Grots, and then 2 squads of Storm Boys. And that is literally the entirety of the list. And what it does, it literally deploys almost the same way every single game, regardless of deployment. The only one is weird is Dawn of War. all that deploys exactly the same way. Truck, battle wagon, mega knobs in here. They're like kind of like juxtaposed on either side. Basically, one's on the top of the board, one's on the bottom of the board, right? And then just waves of dudes. One wave of dude with a weird boy in the far back to sticky the objective before they warp away. And Grots lined up in the back, and then one squad kind of up front to go run and do something if they needed to. Storm Boys are poised to go jump off and do things. One squad of Storm Boys is in reserve. And it's just like I hang out, and I usually call the WOG turn 2. And then when I do that, I'm usually just in combat with everything. Other than I have like 20 to I probably have like 40 boys that aren't in combat. And like 20 of them jump back in the wagon that the other 20 jumped out of to hang out for later. And the other 20 go like do something.
Wow. No Gavs in that list?
No, I randomly I wanted more stuff. You just really only need to hit super hard like on one turn. And the reason I didn't take Gaz is because the Mega Boss makes his squad count as 10. So that squad rerolls 1s for their saves. So there are 2-up armor reroll 1s with a 4-up feel no pain during the watch turn.
And a 5-up invulnerable save, right?
They don't have an invulnerable natively.
Oh. They don't get it for having 10 counting as 10?
No, that's only boys get that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Boys always have a 5-up invul, even if there's one model left. But every strat and every rule in that detachment, other than the reroll 1s, is specifically locked to boy squad and infantry and then infantry characters. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll stop waxing poetically about my little green boys. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode sometime and I'll rant about my list. Or we'll talk about it maybe on the next one.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I think that's a good topic for the next one.
Catch you later, everybody. Thank you so much. Hopefully this
Thanks,
helped.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Have a good night.